हरि हरि बोल। जय सपरिकार श्री श्री गुरु गौरांग गंधर्विक गिरधारी श्री श्री राधा विनोद बिहारी जियो की जय। जय श्री श्री राधा गोविंद राधा गोपीनाथ राधा मदन मोहन जियो की जय। जय नित्य लीला प्रविष्ट ओम विष्णुपाद परमहंस अष्टोत्तरशत श्री शिल एसी भक्ति वेदांत स्वामी महाराज शिल प्रभुपाद की जय। नित्य लीला प्रविष्ट ओम विष्णुपाद परमहंस अष्टोत्तरशत श्री शिल भक्ति रक्षक श्रीधर गोस्वामी महाराज की जय। नित्य लीला प्रविष्ट ओम विष्णुपाद परमहंस अष्टोत्तरशत श्री शिल भक्ति वेदांत नारायण गोस्वामी महाराज की जय। नित्य लीला प्रविष्ट ओम विष्णुपाद परमहंस अष्टोत्तरशत श्री शिल भक्ति प्रज्ञान केशव गोस्वामी महाराज की जय। नित्य लीला प्रविष्ट ओम विष्णुपाद परमहंस अष्टोत्तरशत श्री शिल भक्ति सिद्धांत सरस्वती ठाकुर शिल प्रभुपाद की जय। महाभागवत शिल गौर किशोर दास गोस्वामी महाराज की जय। श्री शिल सच्चिदानंद भक्ति विनोद ठाकुर की जय। वैष्णव सार्वभौम श्रील जगन्नाथ दास बाबा जी महाराज की जय। श्री गौरीय वेदांताचार्य बलदेव विजयभूषण प्रभु की जय। श्रील विश्वनाथ चक्रवर्ती ठाकुर की जय। श्रील नरोत्तम श्रीनिवास श्यामानंद प्रभु त्राय की जय। श्रील कृष्णदास कविराज गोस्वामी प्रभु की जय। श्रील वृंदावन दास ठाकुर की जय। जय श्री रूप सनातन भट्ट रघुनाथ श्री जीव गोपाल भट्ट दास रघुनाथ सर गोस्वामी प्रभु की जय। श्रील स्वरूप दामोदर राय रमानंदादि गौर पार्षद वृंद की जय। नामाचार्य शिल हरिदास ठाकुर की जय। प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद की जय। जय श्री नवद्वीप धाम की जय। श्री अंतर द्वीप मायापुर सीमंत द्वीप गोद्रुम द्वीप मध्य द्वीप खोल द्वीप ऋतु द्वीप जन द्वीप मोद द्रुम द्वीप रुद्रदीपात्मक श्री श्री नवद्वीप धाम की जय। श्री पुरुषोत्तम क्षेत्र श्री जगन्नाथपुरी धाम की जय। श्री श्री राधा कृष्ण गोप गोपी गो गोवर्धन द्वादश वनात्मक श्री ब्रजमंडल धाम की जय। श्याम कुंद राधा कुंद यमुना गंगा तुलसी भक्ति देवी की जय। श्री श्री राधा गोविंद राधा गोपीनाथ राधा मदन मोहन जीव की जय। श्री श्री राधा गोकुलानंद राधा श्याम सुंदर राधा रमन राधा दामोदर जीव की जय। जय श्रीमती ललित विशाखा आदि अष्ट सखी वृंद की जय। श्री रूप मंजरी रति मंजरी अनंग मंजरी आदि मंजरी वृंद की जय। श्रीमती वृंद देवी की जय। श्रीमती पौर्णमासी योगमाई देवी की जय। श्री गोपीश्वर महादेव की जय। सर्वभीष्ट प्रदाता गिरिराज गोवर्धन की जय। ग्रंथराज श्रीमद् भागवतम की जय। ग्रंथराज श्री चैतन्य चरितामृतम चैतन्य भागवत की जय। Shri Jagannath Baladev Subhadra Sudarshan Chakra Jeev ki jai. Bhakti Vigna Vinashana Shri Nrsinga Dev ki jai. Bhakta Pravara Shri Prahlad Maharaj ki jai. Charo Dham Charo Sampradaya Charo Acharya ki jai. Akara Matraj Shri Chaitanya Mat ki jai. Or Ananya Shakamat Samuha ki jai. Shri Vishva Vaishnav Raj Sabha ki jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai. Tribhuvana Pavana Harinam Samkirtana ki jai. Tribhuvana Mangala Harinama Prabhu ki jai. Hare Krishna Maha Mantra ki jai. Shri Sachinandana Gaura Hari ki jai. Shri Nityananda Mahajana ki jai. Shri Pancha-tattva ki jai. Samaveta Bhakta Vrinda ki jai. Samagata Gaur Bhakta Vrinda ki jai. Jai Shri Shri Nitai Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Bo. Nitai Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Bo. Nitai Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Bo. Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Jutaha Padakamalam Shri Guru Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatan Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha Om Ajnana-timirandasya Jnananjana-shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namane. Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharane Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarane. Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Rakshak Sridhar Iti Namane. Namo Vishnupadaya Radhikaya Priyatmane Shri Srimad Bhakti Vedanta Narayanite Namane. Shri Krishna Lila Katane Sudaksham Audaurya Madhurya Gunaishcha Yuktam Avaram Varenyam Purusham Mahantam Narayanam Tam Shirasha Namami. Bandeham Shri Guru Varam Shri Rupanuga Pravaram Vrajarasarasikam Cha Narayanam Tam Prapadyam. Namo Vishnupadaya Acharya Singharupane Shri Srimad Bhakti Pragyana Keshaviti Namane. Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Pristaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Ti Namane. Vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhya evacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Namo Mahabhajanaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namne Gauratishe Namaha Nityanandam Namastubhyam Premananda Pradayane Kalo Kalmashanashaya Janava Pataye Nama Ajanulambita Bujo Kanakavadato Samkirtanaika Pitaro Kamalaya Taksho Vishwambaro Dvijavaro Yuga Dharma Palo Bande Jagat Priyakaro Karunavataro Panchatattvatmakam Krishnam Bhaktarupa Swarupakam Bhaktavataram Bhaktakyam Namami Bhakta Shaktikam He Krishna Karuna Sindho Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Brindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Jayatam Suruto Pangor Mama Mandamater Gati Matsarvasva Padam Bojo Radha Madana Mohano Divyad Vrindaranya Kalpa Drumadha Srimad Ratnagara Singhasanasto Srimad Radha Srila Govinda Devo Prestalibhi Sevyamano Smarami Shriman Rasarasarambhi Vamshivata Tatakstitaha Karshan Venu Svanayir Gopir Gopinatha Shriyestunaha Bhaktya Vihina Aparadha Lakshay Kshiptasya Kamadi Taranga Madhye Kripa Maitvam Sharanam Prapanna Vrinde Namaste Charanarvindam Vrindai Tulsi Devai Priyai Keshavasya Cha Krishna Bhakti Prade Devi Satyavachai Namo Namaha Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. See if I can play Mridanga or not. Yesterday, I had tremendous pain in my shoulder, which I think was just from sleeping on it, but it's still here. Now I can't, it's hard for me to raise my arm, like to raise it up. I have to put it on. I'm going to check and see. Yeah, I can because it's just here. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasari Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Gauranga Balite Habe Pulaka Sharira Hari Hari Bolite Na Yane Babenera আর কবে নিতাই চন্দের করুণা হইবে সংসার বাসনা মোর কবে তুচ্ছ হবে Vishaya Chariya Kabe Shuddha Habe Mon Kabe Ham He Rabo Shri Vrindavan Paragunata Pade Hoibe Akuti Kabe Ham Bujabo Se Jugala Piriti Paragunata Pade Rahu Morayash Prarthana Koro Ye Sada Narotamodas Ruparagunata Pade Rahu Morayash Prarthana Koro Ye Sada Gauranga Balite Habe Pulaka Sharira Hari Hari Bolite Na Yani Babenera Gauranga Balite Habe Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Oh, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Oh, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Oh, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Oh, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Nitai Gauranga Jaya, Nitai Gauranga, Nitai Gauranga Jaya, Nitai Gauranga, Nitai Gauranga, Nitai Gauranga, Nitai Gauranga, Nitai Gauranga. O Jaya Sachinandana, Jaya Sachinandana, Jaya Sachinandana, Jaya Sachinandana. Jaya Sachinandana Jaya Gaura Hari. Jaya Sachinandana Jaya Gaura Hari. Jai Gaura Hari, Jai Gaura Hari. Jai Gaura Hari, Jai Gaura Hari. Nitai Gaura Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol. Nitai Gaura Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol. Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada. Jaya Guru Deva, Jaya Guru Deva, Guru Deva, Jaya Guru Deva. Nitai Gaura Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol. Nitai Gaura Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol. Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol. Jai Shri Shri Nitai Gaura Premanande. Hari Hari Bol. Nitai Gaura Premanande. Hari Hari Bol. Nitai Gaur Premanande. Hari Hari Bol. Shri Harinam Samkirtan Ki Jai. Hare Krishna Mahamantra Ki Jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnav Vrinda Ki Jai. Samagata Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. Nitai Gaur Premanande. Hari Hari Bol. Hare Krishna. You know English? Okay, because we're going to have Bhagavad Pat now in English. Well, you can listen if you want. Where are you from? Oh, Shiliguri. Okay. Good place. Huh? Yes, you can sit. Can bring the garland. First of all, I'm offering my unlimited Dandavat Pranams and my Shraddha Pushpanjali at the lotus feet of my most worshipable beloved Gurudev, Nityalila Pravishtom Vishnupad Paramahansa, Ashtotarasata Sri Srila, A.C. Bhakti-vedanta Swami Maharaj, Srila Prabhupada. Then I'm offering my same unlimited Dandavat Pranams and my Shraddha Pushpanjali at the lotus feet of my most worshipable beloved Siksha Gurudevs, Nityalila Pravishta Om Vishnupad Paramahansa, Astottara Sata Sri Srila Bhakti Rakshak Sridhar Goswami Maharaj and Nitya Leela Pravishta Om Vishnupad Paramahansa Astottara Sata Sri Srila Bhakti Vedanta Narayan Goswami Maharaj. For my Dandavat pranams to all of the Vaishnavas, to all the Vaishnavis, and my Dandavat pranams to all my Sri Sri Rupanuga Guru Varga. So we're continuing in our study and reading of Sri Bhakti-tattva-viveka by our illustrious great Rupanuga Acharya Sri Srila Sachidananda Bhakti Vinod Thakur. Now, we are in the second section of his book. And this second section is discussing what? It is analyzing what is the semblance of bhakti. What is that called? Bhakti abhas. Semblance of bhakti, not bhakti, but semblance of bhakti. And there were two types mentioned. Pratibimba bhakti abhas and chaya bhakti abhas. Pratibimba means a reflection, like a tree on the water is reflected. Chaya means a shadow. It is told that Chaya Bhakti Abhas is more intimately connected with Bhakti than Pratibimba. Why? Because there's no connection direct connection between the reflection and the original object. But in a shadow, there's a connection. If your hand, you hold it out, and then it casts a shadow. There's direct connection is there. So, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, in the first part, there are two parts to this chapter. And in the first part, he's very extensively analyzing Pratibimba Bhakti Abhas and how there are three different types of Pratibimba Bhakti Abhas. But now he is going to enter into the topic of Chaya Bhakti Abhas. So, we will continue from where we left off. Oh. Okay. So, Chaya Bhakti Abhas. It is very important for a sadhak to understand Chaya Bhakti Abhas. Unlike Pratibimba Bhakti Abhas, Chaya Bhakti Abhas is not crooked. And it is not shrewd. It has simplicity. And it has virtue. Chaya Bhakti Abhas. So Srila Rupa Goswami has written as follows regarding Chaya Bhakti Abhas. This is from the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. I'm reading his shlokas. There are 5. Kshudra kautu halamayi chanchala dukhaharini ratesh chaya bhavet kinchit tat sadrishya valambani hari priya kriya kala desha patradi sangamat apyanu sangika desha kvachid agyeshu apikshate. Kintu bhagyam vina naso bhavach chayapya udanchati yad abhyudayata kshemam tatra syad uttarottamam hari priya janasyaiva prasada bharalabhata bhava baso pi sahasa bhavatvam upagacchati tasmin eva paradena bhava baso pyanuttama kramena kshayam apnoti kashtapurna shashiyata. So here are the translation of these 5 shlokas concerning Chaya Bhakti Abhas. There are a few similarities between Chaya Bhakti Abhas and what? Shuddha Bhakti. Yeah. There are a few similarities between Chaya Bhakti Abhas and Shuddha Bhakti. But by nature, the practitioner of Chaya Bhakti Abhas feels some slight curiosity concerning what fruit will be attained by following this process. Are you reading this?
I'm listening and translate what I mean.
You what?
Listening and translate the word what I mean through the dictionary.
Oh, okay. So, although these few similarities are there between Chaya Bhakti Abhas and Shuddha Bhakti, but by nature, the practitioner of Chaya Bhakti Abhas feels some slight curiosity concerning what fruit will be attained by following this process. But his mind is restless, and some of his material and some of his material distress is eradicated. So that's his condition. Okay? He's very curious. He has this curiosity, what fruit will be attained. His mind is restless. And to some degree, some of his material distress is eradicated. Now, Chaya Bhakti Abhas is sometimes visible even within a person who is bereft of spiritual knowledge. Get that? Even though he's bereft of spiritual knowledge, Chaya Bhakti Abhas can somehow or other become a little bit visible there. Yes. And how is that? How is it that this can happen? That Chaya Bhakti Abhas is sometimes visible even in a person who is bereft of spiritual knowledge. How is that possible? Just by the influence of their having come into contact with the times, the places, and the devotees that are related to Bhagavan. Yes. Just coming into contact. So whether one be a follower of Pancha Upasana or of a bona fide disciplic succession, one cannot attain the stage of Chaya Bhakti Abhas without some special good fortune having arisen within him. Because upon the shadow of Bhav arising even just once, the shadow of Bhav arising even just once, in whatever minute degree it may be, it will certainly grow. And it will result in progressive benefit for the sadhak. So we were discussing how the first devotees who came to Srila Prabhupada, how they became affected. This is describing that. But how did they even come into contact with that? This is also describing that. Now, upon obtaining the mercy of a pure Vaishnava, then Bhav Abbas can suddenly progress up to the stage of Bhav. Whoa! Listen again. Upon obtaining the what? The mercy of a pure Vaishnava. That is the ingredient. The mercy of the pure Vaishnava. Then this Bhav Abbas can suddenly progress up to the stage of Bhav. Yes. But on the other hand, if one commits offenses at the feet of pure Vaishnavas, even the topmost semblance of Bhav gradually deteriorates, just like the gradual waning of the moon in Krishna Paksha, the dark fortnight of the lunar month. There it is, in black and white. What more evidence is needed than this? This serious subject matter. It is not a light subject, it's a very heavy, serious subject matter. Because it's going on. And people are being degraded from whatever they've accomplished. Those who commit that Vaishnava parad, what will happen? Even if they have the topmost semblance of Bhav, it gradually deteriorates. Just like the gradual waning of the moon in the Krishna Paksha, the dark fortnight of the lunar month. Just like that. Now, Chaya Bhakti Abbas is of two types. First type is known as Swarup Gyan Abhava Janita Bhakti Abbas. Swarupa Gyan Abhava Janita Bhakti Abbas. That means the semblance of devotion that appears in the absence of knowledge of one's inherent identity. Okay? Very few people have knowledge of their inherent identity. But this type of Bhakti Abbas is that semblance of devotion that appears in the absence of knowledge of one's inherent identity. Now the second type is called Bhakti Udipak Vastu Shakti Janita Bhakti Abbas. That's Bhakti Udipa Vastu Udipaka Vastu Shakti Janita Bhakti Abbas. This means the semblance of devotion in which the stimulation for bhakti is caused by the influence of having come into contact with objects such as time, place, and circumstance that are related to Bhagavan. These are both types of Bhakti Abbas. Chaya Bhakti Abbas. Now, concerning the first type, Bhaktivinoda Thakur is going to give us a further depth of understanding of the meaning of the first type. So, the intrinsic knowledge, that's called Swarup Gyan. Intrinsic knowledge. The intrinsic knowledge concerning the sadhak, the practitioner, also the sadhana, the practice, and the sadhya, the object of achievement. It is non-different from the inherent nature of Shuddha Bhakti. Again, this Swarup Gyan, which concerns sadhana, sadhya, and sadhaka, sadhana, and sadhya. That Swarup Gyan is non-different from the inherent nature of Shuddha Bhakti. Now, when such Swarup Gyan has not yet arisen within a sadhak, but the desire to cross over the ocean of material existence has come within him. Again, when such Swarup Gyan has not yet arisen within a sadhak, but the desire to cross over the ocean of material existence, that desire to cross over the ocean of material existence has come within him. Again, when such Swarup Gyan has not yet arisen within a sadhak, but the desire to cross over the ocean of material existence has come within him, then whatever symptoms of bhakti visible in him, in that condition, they are merely bhakti abhas. So the Swarup Gyan has not yet come. But the desire to cross over the ocean of material existence, that has come. So, at that point, when that is there, whatever symptoms of bhakti are visible in him, then that condition, those symptoms of bhakti, has to be understood as merely bhakti abhas, not actual bhakti. So this semblance of devotion, it transforms into Shuddha Bhakti. When what? When one obtains this intrinsic knowledge. What knowledge? Swarup Gyan. Due to ignorance of this intrinsic knowledge of the bhakti process, that means sadhak, sadhana, and sadhya, the intrinsic knowledge of the bhakti process. So due to ignorance of this intrinsic knowledge of the bhakti yoga process, Swarup Siddha Bhakti remains covered, and hence only the semblance of devotion is visible. Not Swarup Siddha Bhakti. It remains covered. And therefore only the abhas, only the semblance of devotion is visible. Now the devotion of a Pancha Upasaka, we've read about them, who worship the 5 deities. The devotion of Pancha Upasakas who remain aloof from the teachings of impersonalism, and they perform the worship of their favorite deity by considering him or her to be a direct expansion of Bhagavan and the supreme goal. For them, this is also called Chaya Bhakti Abhas. What are the 2 qualifications? They're aloof from the teachings of impersonalism, and they are performing the worship of their favorite deity, and they consider him or her to be a direct expansion of Bhagavan and also to be the supreme goal. So that is also Chaya Bhakti Abhas. Still, there is a great deal of difference between Panchopasak Vaishnavas and Sampradayak Vaishnavas. The resolute faith of Sampradayak Vaishnavas in the personal aspect of Bhagavan is much stronger than that of the Pancha Upasak Vaishnavas. That's the difference. Now, by receiving proper instruction on philosophical principles, a Sampradayak Vaishnava remains hopeful of reaching a very exalted stage of pure Vaishnavism. But a Pancha Upasak cannot be as hopeful of achieving such an exalted stage of Vaishnavism by receiving instruction on philosophical principles according to their own custom. Now, the accessibility of association of pure devotees for Sampradayak Vaishnavas is much better than it is for the Pancha Upasakas. Why would that be? Huh? No. The accessibility of them. The accessibility of the association of pure devotees for the Sampradayic Vaishnava is much better than it is for the Pancha Upasakas. Even though they might be in the vicinity. So here's how to understand that. If by some fortune the Pancha Upasakas obtain the association of devotees, and simultaneously they keep themselves aloof from the association of impersonalists, then they can then be refined by the Sampradayic system, and they can begin pursuing the path of unalloyed devotion. Before that, they're not pursuing that path. Now, two scriptural evidences mentioned in the Bhakti Sandarbha, they are being quoted here. In the Skanda Purana, it is confirmed that some Pradayak Vaishnavas, they achieve their desired result even by the practice of Chaya Bhakti Abhas. There's a statement in Skanda Purana. For the Sampradayak Vaishnavas, they achieve their desired result even by the practice of Chaya Bhakti Abhas. So this is Lord Mahadev who says this, and this is quoted in the Hari Bhakti Vilas. Diksha matrena Krishnasya nara moksham labanti vai kim punar ye sada bhaktya pujayantyachutam naraha. Just by receiving initiation, diksha, into the Krishna mantra, one can obtain liberation. So, what can be said about what one can achieve by performing devotion unto the Supreme Lord? So, first it's beginning with diksha matrena Krishnasya. You've received diksha into the Krishna mantra. Nara moksham labanti vai. You can attain moksha. So then what to speak of? Kim punar ye sada bhaktya pujayantya chutam naraha. What can be said about one who can achieve, about what one can achieve? What can be said about what one can achieve by performing devotion, bhakti, unto the Supreme Lord? Now regarding Pancha Upasaks, who remaining free from Pratibimba Bhakti Abhas, those Pancha Upasakas have developed Chaya Bhakti Abhas. The Adi Varaha Purana says, Janmantara Sahasreshu Samaradya Vrishadvajam Vaishnavatvam Labet Kaschit Sarva Papa Kshaye Sati. If one worships Ganesh for thousands of births and becomes free from all sins, then it is possible to come to the platform of Vaishnavism. Now the scriptural conclusion is that the Shaktas, the worshippers of the goddess Durga, they are gradually elevated to bhakti. By how? How are they gradually elevated to bhakti? The Shaktas, those who worship goddess Durga. First, they become worshippers of the sun god, then worshippers of Ganesh, then worshippers of Shiva, then Pancha Upasak Vaishnavas, and finally Sampradayic Vaishnavas. So by the careful analysis of the words of the scriptures, it is understood that by the influence of association with pure devotees, Chaya Bhakti Abhas transforms into pure devotion. That's how it happens. Let's review, see if we remember. Who's the first one? Sun God. Second, Ganesh. Third, Shiva. Fourth, Pancha Upasak Vaishnavas. That means they're worshipping in the Panchopasik system, they're worshipping Vishnu. And then when they become Sampradayak Vaishnavas, they're no longer Panchopasak Vaishnavas. So, therefore, by the careful analysis of the words of the scriptures, it is understood that by the influence of association with pure devotees, Chaya Bhakti Abbas transforms into pure devotion. Any reflections so far on this? Now the second type that is mentioned. In the scriptures there are many examples of Bhakti Udipak Vastu Shakti Janata Bhakti Abbas. Now here's the examples in the scriptures. Bhakti Udipak, that means stimulus, right? Different vastus, they provide Bhakti Udipak, stimulus. What is that? Tulsi plant. Mahaprashadam. Vaishnava Prasad. The days of devotional observance, such as Ekadasi. The deity of Bhagavan. The holy Dhammas. The Ganga. The foot dust of Vaishnavas. And so on. These are various objects that act as Bhakti Udipak, stimuli to devotion. The living entity receives immense benefit even by coming in contact with these objects unknowingly. Sometimes benefit is accrued even when the innocent jiva unknowingly commits an offense to them. Coming into contact with these objects in this way is also Bhakti Abbas. You get that? Even he's coming into contact and committing some offense because unknowingly, right? But coming into contact, it is also Bhakti Abbas. Devotees will not be astonished upon witnessing such remarkable results of Bhakti Abbas. All such results are due solely to the immense power of what? Shuddha Bhakti. Shuddha Bhakti is so powerful. So therefore, these kind of results can be noticed. Because of that. Solely due to the immense power of Shuddha Bhakti. These remarkable results of Bhakti Abbas. Now, if the processes of jnana and yoga are not executed purely, and if they are not supported by Bhakti Abbas, then they are incapable of granting any result at all. That's what's stated here. Gyan, Yoga, even they're executed purely in the pathway of Gyan, in the pathway of Yoga. But they are not supported by Bhakti Abbas. Then they are incapable of granting any result. On the other hand, Bhakti Devi is completely independent. Regardless of the motives of those who take shelter of her, she fulfills their innermost desires. Although all these results are visible in the semblance of devotion, it is not the prescribed conduct. Okay, not prescribed, but they're visible. Now the execution of unalloyed devotion, that is our only duty. It is our only duty to execute unalloyed devotion. So those who desire absolute success, if you're in that category, and you desire absolute success, then you should not under any circumstance give a place to Pratibimba Bhakti Abhas within their hearts. By the strength of bhajan, performed under the guidance of pure Vaishnavas, they should cross beyond this Chaya Bhakti Abhas, and they should take exclusive shelter at the lotus feet of Bhakti Devi. Therefore, all of you kindly accept the following principle presented by Vishva Vaishnava Das. You know who Vishva Vaishnava Das is? Huh? This is Bhaktivinoda Thakur. He's composing this verse. All of you kindly accept the following principle presented by Vishva Vaishnava Das. Pratibimbas tatachaya bedat tattva vicharata bhaktya baso dvidha sopi varjaniya rasartibi. Those who desire to relish the liquid mellows of devotion, bhakti rasa, they should always remain aloof from both types of bhakti abhas. So by reviewing this subject matter, it is concluded that the semblance of devotion is of two types, Pratibimba Bhakti Abhas and Chaya Bhakti Abhas. Pratibimba Bhakti Abhas has a tendency to make the living entity commit offenses, while Chaya Bhakti Abhas is incomplete in itself. The execution of unalloyed devotion is the only recommended activity for the living entity. What is the only recommended activity? The execution of what? Unalloyed devotion. That's the only recommended activity for the living entity. Nothing else is recommended. So then why are there so many recommendations in Shastra? Because they're not ready to accept it yet. That's why. Because they want cheating dharma. So now, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he's completing this section and this second chapter with a section titled Offenses Toward Bhakti. Offenses. He tells us this is a very dangerous item. Very dangerous item. We execute so many limbs of bhakti, such as accepting the Diksha mantra from a bona fide spiritual master, or every day applying tilak to 12 different parts of the body, performing archan unto Sri Krishna, observing the vow of Ekadasi, chanting the holy name, and remembering Krishna according to one's ability. Oh, visiting the holy places like Vrindavan and so forth. But, unfortunately, we don't try hard enough to avoid committing offenses at the feet of Bhakti Devi. Now, giving the example of the activities of Mukunda, you know the story in Chaitanya Bhagavat, Srimad Mahaprabhu highlighted to his devotees the various symptoms of offense towards bhakti in these 5 shlokas from the Madhya Kanda of Chaitanya Bhagavat. Kshame dante trinaloy kshane jati mare O khada jatiya beta na dekibe more. Prabhu bole, O beta jakan jata jai, Se mata kata kahi tatai mishai. Vashishta Podaye jabe advaitera sange bhakti yoge nache gai trina kori dante anya sampradaya gia jokon sambhai nahi mane bhakti jati maraye sadai bhakti stane uhara hoile aparad eteke udhar hoilo darshan bad. So these 5 verses are spoken by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu himself. And he's saying here, no, I can never bestow mercy upon Mukunda. Who is Mukunda? He's one of Mahaprabhu's most intimate associates. But here, Mahaprabhu is saying, no, I can never bestow mercy upon Mukunda. Because sometimes he displays his humility by taking straw between his teeth, and then at other times he attacks me. In other words, he keeps one of his hands at my feet, displaying humility, and the other at my neck, attacking me. According to his own convenience. Sometimes he behaves as my follower, and at other times he criticizes me. So hence, I cannot reward him. Wherever he goes, seeking his own benefit, he represents himself accordingly, and he mixes with people. Sometimes he supports the doctrine of Mayavad by reciting from the book Yoga Vashishta, which is endowed with Advaita philosophy. Then at other times he shows his faith by abandoning the impersonal concept and cultivating Krishna Bhakti by becoming meek and humble, and by dancing and performing kirtan. And when he enters the sect of the impersonalists, then he rejects the eternality of bhakti, and he condemns the devotees with the weapon of argument and logic. So in this way he has committed an offense at the feet of Bhakti Devi. Therefore, I cannot give him my darshan. So of course, we've read that before, and we know the outcome. But he was using his associate. Bhaktivinoda Thakur is pointing this out here. Mukunda Datta is an eternal associate of the Lord. So whatever Mahaprabhu said to him in this regard, this is only a pastime. But Mahaprabhu's objectives are very grave, so there must be an extremely confidential reason for his statements here. His confidential instruction is that we cannot please Krishna just by accepting initiation and executing the various limbs of bhakti. Only those who have unwavering faith in exclusive devotion can satisfy him. Those who have developed some such faith, they accept the path of unalloyed devotion with great determination. They do not visit places where doctrines that are unrelated to Shuddha Bhakti are discussed. They go to places where the topics of pure devotion is being discussed, and they listen with great interest. Simplicity, determination, an exclusive desire for bhakti, these are the natural characteristics of such unalloyed devotees. They never approve of statements or activities that are opposed to the principles of bhakti merely to gain popularity. Pure devotees always remain indifferent to such things. Now these days, Bhaktivinoda Thakur is saying, these days most people don't try to avoid the above-mentioned offenses. Just from seeing the devotees or hearing narrations of the Lord's activities, they display symptoms of apparent spiritual ecstasy, such as trembling and the shedding of tears, and they support spiritual philosophy in assemblies. But afterwards, they are again seen becoming mad after sense gratification. Therefore, dear readers, What can be said about the so-called firm adherence or the nishta of those who display these bogus sentiments? We understand that just to earn fame, they display these symptoms before the devotees. Out of greed to acquire fame or other material benefits, they display varieties of this sort of conduct. It is a matter of great sorrow that these people not only commit an offense at the feet of Bhakti Devi by propagating deceitful philosophies in the name of Bhakti, but they also completely ruin the spiritual lives of the living entities of this world. Dear readers, we should remain very careful not to ever commit any offense at the feet of Bhakti Devi. First of all, we must vow to perform bhakti while remaining indifferent to all else. We must never do anything or speak anything that is contrary to bhakti just to gain popularity or collect followers. We must remain simple and straightforward in our actions. There shouldn't be any difference between our words and our actions. We must never try to gain the favor of those who are indifferent to bhakti by displaying to them artificial symptoms of advanced devotion. We will always remain chaste to the principles of unalloyed devotion, and we will never support any other doctrine. Our external conduct and the feelings within our hearts should be one and the same. That ends section 2 of Sri Bhakti-tattva-viveka. There is a note which was taken from one of the sections above, a footnote here, which is regarding Swarup Siddha Bhakti. And it's describing what that is. Swarup Siddha Bhakti. All favorable endeavors, such as hearing, chanting, remembrance, and so on, as well as the manifestation of the spiritual sentiments which occur beginning from the stage of bhav, which are completely devoid of all desires separate from Krishna, and which are freed from the coverings of jnana and karma, are known as Swarup Siddha Bhakti. In other words, all endeavors of the body, mind, and words that are related to Krishna, to Sri Krishna, and that are performed exclusively and directly for His pleasure without any intervention, they are known as Swarup Siddha Bhakti. Yes, Maharaj.
Would it be possible to say those offenses to bhakti again?
The offenses to bhakti?
Was it listed in succession?
Where? What I just read, you mean?
The offenses to bhakti, which should be avoided.
All right. Offenses toward bhakti. This is a very dangerous item. We execute so many limbs of bhakti, such as accepting Diksha mantra from the bona fide spiritual master, every day applying tilak to 12 different parts of the body, performing archana to Sri Krishna, observing the vow of Ekadasi, chanting the holy name, and remembering Krishna according to one's ability, visiting the holy places like Vrindavan, and so forth. But unfortunately, we don't try hard enough to avoid committing offenses at the feet of Bhakti Devi. So giving the example of the activities of Mukunda, Srimad Mahaprabhu highlighted to his devotees the various symptoms of offense towards Bhakti. So then that section of Mukunda and what Mahaprabhu told. So Mahaprabhu's objectives are very grave, so there must be an extremely confidential reason for his statements here. His confidential instruction is that we cannot please Krishna just by accepting initiation and by executing the various limbs of bhakti. No. Only those who have unwavering faith in exclusive devotion can satisfy him. Those who have developed such faith, they accept the path of unalloyed devotion with great determination. They do not visit places where doctrines that are unrelated to Shuddha Bhakti are discussed. They go to places where the topics of pure devotion is being discussed, and they listen with great interest. Simplicity, determination, and exclusive desire for bhakti, they are the natural characteristics of such unalloyed devotees. They never approve of statements or activities that are opposed to the principles of bhakti merely to gain popularity. Pure devotees always remain indifferent to such things. So then he says that these days most people don't try to avoid the above mentioned offenses. So just from seeing the devotees or hearing narrations of the Lord's activities, they display symptoms of apparent spiritual ecstasy such as trembling and the shedding of tears. And they support spiritual philosophy in assemblies, but then afterwards they are again seen becoming mad after sense gratification. Therefore, dear readers, what can be said about the so-called firm adherence, nishta, of those who display these bogus sentiments? We understand that just to earn fame, they display these symptoms before the devotees. So out of greed to acquire fame or other material benefits, they display varieties of this sort of conduct. So it is a matter of great sorrow that these people not only commit an offense at the feet of Bhakti Devi by propagating deceitful philosophies in the name of bhakti, but they also completely ruin the spiritual lives of the living entities of this world. So that's what he mentioned. So, dear readers, we should remain very careful not to ever commit any offense at the feet of Bhakti Devi. Okay. The third section of Bhakti-tattva-viveka is titled An Analysis of the Natural Attributes of Bhakti. So an analysis of the natural attributes of Bhakti. And then the last chapter, chapter 4, is an analysis of the qualification for Bhakti. So chapter 3 is not as long as chapter 3 and chapter 4 are not as long as the first two chapters. Yeah, they're both not as long. So I'm beginning chapter 3, an analysis of the natural attributes of bhakti. So he begins this section by composing his own verse. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur. Shuddha Bhakti Svabhavasya Prabhavan Yat Padashrayat Sadaiva Labate Jivas Tam Chaitanyam Aham Bhaje. I worship Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. By taking shelter of his feet, the living entity forever obtains the potency issuing from the very nature of unalloyed devotion. So, I'm reading this again. Shuddha Bhakti Svabhavasya Prabhavan Yat Padashrayat Sadaiva Labate Jivas Tam Chaitanyam Aham Bhaje. I worship Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. By taking shelter of his feet, the living entity forever obtains the potency issuing from the very nature of unalloyed devotion. Just by taking shelter of the lotus feet of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the living entity forever obtains the potency issuing from what? From the very nature of unalloyed devotion. So that's the introduction to this chapter, which is an analysis of the natural attributes of bhakti. Now, Shuddha Bhakti. How does Shuddha Bhakti manifest? Shuddha Bhakti manifests along with 6 symptoms. If Shuddha Bhakti is manifesting, these 6 symptoms will definitely be manifesting along with it. So what are they? You've heard these before. Kleshagni Subhada Moksha Laguta Krit Sudurlabha Sandrananda Visheshatma Krishna Karshani. So that's just the list. These 6 symptoms are, first, Kleshagni. If Shuddha Bhakti is manifesting, this will definitely begin to manifest. And what is that? Kleshagni brings immediate relief. Immediate relief from all kinds of what? Klesh, material distress. Second symptom. Now, you may remember in the Nectar of Devotion, Srila Prabhupada has translated this. And he's explained, and our Gurudev has explained in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu Bindu, that these 6 are divided into pairs. 2, 2, and 2. In the stage of sadhana bhakti, these 2, Kleshagni, immediate relief from all kinds of material distress, and Shubhada, that means it brings all auspiciousness. So Kleshagni and Shubhada manifest in the stage of what? Sadhana bhakti. Now, and sadhana bhakti goes all the way up to which stage? Asakti. All from Shraddha all the way up to Asakti. That's all sadhana bhakti. So, if it hasn't yet manifested in your own perception, then you ain't reached the higher stages yet. Now, the next 2, number 3 and 4, are called Moksha Laguta Krit. What does that mean? That liberation, moksha, it becomes insignificant in comparison with what? With the Shuddha Bhakti. Insignificant. What verse in the Sikshastakam is expressing that? Janmani Janmanishvare Bhavatad Bhaktir Ahaitu Kitvai. And this is expressing the stage of Ruchi. So, Janmani Janmani Shure means birth after birth. He's not interested in moksha. Moksha lagutakrit. Moksha has become insignificant in front of Shuddha Bhakti. Number 4, Sudurlabha. You know the meaning of that. He's extremely rare. Extremely rare. Sudurlabha. So, yes, it's extremely rare. Rarely achieved. That means asakti. Okay? Sudurlabha. Now comes the last 2, which are noticed, what? In the stage of bhav. Sandrananda Visheshatma. Sandrananda Visheshatma means it grants intense transcendental pleasure. Sandrananda Visheshatma. It grants intense transcendental pleasure. And the last one, number 6, Krishna Akarshani. What does that mean? That means it is the only means to attract Sri Krishna. There is no other method that you can attract Krishna. No other method at all to attract Krishna. Except for this Shuddha Bhakti in that highest stage. Now, in the stage of sadhana bhakti, only the first 2 symptoms appear. Oh, I got it wrong. In the stage of bhav bhakti, the first 4 symptoms appear. And in the stage of prem, all symptoms appear. I thought I made a mistake there. Yes. So now it's set correctly. Yes. So just imagine, you got to get up to the stage of bhav before kleshagni and shubhada will fully appear. But then in the stage of bhav, then moksha-lagutakrit and sudurlabha, they appear. And then in the stage of prem, sandrananda visheshatma, unlimited transcendental pleasure. And Krishna Karshani. Oh, Krishna becomes attracted. Only to that. Only to prem bhakti. So now he's analyzing these 6 different symptoms. First one, Klesh Agni. Bhakti Devi completely removes all distress, all klesh, of those who take shelter of unalloyed devotion. That's done by Bhakti Devi. All distress will be removed by those who take shelter of pure bhakti, Shuddha Bhakti. Klesha is of 3 types. Sin, that means pap. Then sins in their seed form, which is called papa bij, and ignorance, avidya. So klesha, distress, there are 3 types. By sins, by papa bij, sins in their seed form. They haven't yet sprouted. And also avidya. Now, due to the sins committed by the jiva in innumerable lifetimes, or the sins that he may commit in his present or future lives, he has to suffer various types of distress. The prominent sins have been analyzed in the 5th wave of the 2nd shower of my book, Sri Chaitanya Sikshamrita. Prominent sins. These sins can be further divided into 2 categories, prarabdha and aprarabdha. Now, what are prarabdha sins? Prarabdha are sins those which the living entity, he must suffer the reactions in his present lifespan. So do we have some of those? Hell yeah. You must suffer. That's called prarabdha. Now the sins whose reactions will be suffered in one's next life, they are called aprarabdha. And the sins that are committed by the living entity in innumerable lifetimes combine together as aprarabdha sins, and in his next birth they fructify as prarabdha sins. Got that? So, innumerable lives of sinful activities, they all combine together as aprarabdha sins. They haven't yet manifested, but in his next birth they fructify as prarabdha sins. So hence, within the jurisdiction of eternal law, the jiva is bound to suffer the reactions of the sins that he has committed in his innumerable lifetimes. That is called what? Eternal law. Now, birth in a Brahmin family, or in a Muslim family, or a wealthy family, or a poor family, or having beautiful personal features, or being ugly, they are all results of prarabdha karma. Now, birth in an untouchable, a Yavana family, is due to prarabdha sins. So unalloyed devotion, what does unalloyed devotion do? It destroys both type of sin, prarabdha and aprarabdha. So if the path of Gyan is followed properly, then it destroys aprarabdha karma. Got that? Gyan can only extend to that. Aprarabdha, the sins that haven't manifested yet. If the path of Gyan is followed properly, it destroys aprarabdha karma. But according to the scriptures of the Gyanis, one must suffer the reactions of his prarabdha karma. But bhakti also destroys prarabdha karma. Even what you are destined in this life, bhakti destroys that. Here's the verse from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 3, 33.6. Yannama deha shravananu kirtanad, yat pravanad yat smaranad api kvachit, svadopi sadya savanaya kalpate, kutak punaste bhagavan nu darshanat. Devahuti said to her son Kapila Dev, "Oh my dear Lord," this is like right at the very end of the whole chapters of Kapila Dev's teachings. Devahuti says, "Oh my dear Lord, by hearing and chanting your holy names, by offering obeisances unto you, and by remembering you, even a person born in a family of dog-eaters immediately obtains the right to perform Vedic sacrifices. In other words, he acquires the status of a Brahmana. What to speak then of the benefit one can achieve by receiving your direct darshan?" So how is this obtained? By hearing and chanting your holy names, by offering obeisances unto you, by remembering you. Doing these limbs of bhakti. So Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur said this verse highlights how bhakti easily destroys the prarabdha sins that result in taking birth in a low-class family. Now, See how bhakti also destroys aprarabdha sins. Here we go. Padma Purana, quoted in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu 1:123. Aprarabdha phalam papam, kutam bijam phalon mukam, krame naiva praliyeta Vishnu bhakti ratatmanam. For those who have undeviating and exclusive attachment for devotion unto Lord Vishnu, undeviating and exclusive attachment for devotion unto Lord Vishnu, their aprarabdha, the accumulated stock of sins that are lying in a dormant condition, their kuta, their sins that are tending towards producing seeds, which means that they are beginning to take shape as sinful desires, then their bija, the seeds that are already established as sinful desires, and prarabdha, fructified sins, they are all destroyed in sequence. By doing what? By having undeviating and exclusive attachment for devotion unto Lord Vishnu. These 4 stages are all destroyed in sequence. Now the purport is that for the destruction of their sins, the devotees need not to perform any separate acts of either karma or jnana as an atonement. Not required. The desires to commit sinful activities that are situated within the heart of the living entity, they are called papa bij. That means the seeds of sins. Now, Papa Bij can only be destroyed by bhakti. There's no other way. Here, Srimad Bhagavatam is quoted from the 6th canto, 2nd chapter. And it's quoted by Rupa Goswami also. Taistan yagani puyante tapodana vratadibi na dharmajam tad dridayam tad api shangri sevaya. So the systematic methods for the atonement of sins that are prescribed in the scripture, because this is from 6th canto, 2nd chapter, and that's where they're discussing, how is it possible? How is it possible? So, the systematic methods for the atonement of sins that are prescribed in the scriptures, such as the performance of difficult vows like Chandrayana. As a footnote, we're not reading that. So difficult vows like Chandrayana and other activities on the path of ordinary karma, as well as the performance of austerities, giving of charity. What do they destroy? All these? They destroy only those sins for which they are specifically prescribed. That's it. Those atonements, they do not destroy the seeds of sins, or in other words, the sinful desires that have arisen due to ignorance. Sinful desires can be removed only by engaging in the service of Krishna. So that means that besides bhakti, there is no other means that can expunge sinful desires from the heart. No other method. No other method. Sinful desires can be removed only by engaging in the service of Krishna. No other method, no other means besides bhakti can expunge sinful desires from the heart. Now, as soon as Bhakti Devi appears in the heart, all sinful desires, as well as any desires for piety even, desires for piety, they're all destroyed at the root. The following verses from the Padma Purana and the Srimad Bhagavatam, they describe how bhakti eradicates ignorance, avidya. Kritanu yatra vidyabir hari bhaktir anuttama avidyam nirdahatyashu dava jvalena pannagim. When Hari Bhakti appears in the heart, then she is followed by the knowledge potency, Vidya Shakti, which immediately dispels the ignorance situated within the heart of the living entity, just as a serpent is burnt by a blazing forest fire. Yes. Bhakti Devi. When Hari Bhakti appears in the heart, then she is followed by the knowledge potency, the Vidya Shakti, which immediately dispels the ignorance situated within the heart of the living entity, just as a serpent is burnt by a blazing forest fire. And the second verse being quoted, also from the same chapter, from the Srimad Bhagavatam, 4th canto. Yat pada pankaja palasha vilasa bhaktya karmashayam gratitam udgratayanti santa tadvanna rikta matayo yatayo piruddha shroto ganastam aranam bhajavasudevam. These are all quoted in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. Here, Srimad Bhagavatam, 4th canto, 22nd chapter, 39th verse, is telling that ascetics who have detached their minds from the objects of the senses, by keeping their senses away from those objects, they cannot easily untie the knot of false ego from their hearts. No. They can do so much asceticism. They can detach their minds from the objects of the senses. They can keep their senses away from those objects. But what can they not do? They cannot easily untie the knot of false ego from their hearts. But on the other hand, the devotees who are exclusively engaged in transcendental loving service unto the lotus feet of Sri Krishna, they can untie this knot in no time. So hence, one should engage in bhajan of Sri Krishna, who is the supreme shelter. Now, Bhaktivinoda Thakur is quoting Srimad Bhagavatam, 10th canto, chapter 2. And this is in relation to the following topic. Though the cultivation of knowledge, it can dispel ignorance to some extent. So someone cultivates Gyan, to some extent it can dispel ignorance. But without taking shelter of bhakti, a sadhak will certainly fall down. Certainly fall down. Without taking shelter of bhakti, a sadhak will certainly fall down. And what is the famous verse? Yen ye aravindaksha vimuktamaninas tvai ashtabhavad avishuddha buddhaya aruhya krichena parampadam tatak patanti adhonadrita yushmadangraya. Demigods are praying this to Krishna in the womb in the 2nd chapter of the 10th canto. They're praying, O lotus-eyed Lord, although by the cultivation of neti-neti, the negativity principle, the non-devotees endeavor to attain something different from dull matter, and they consider themselves to be liberated. But their intelligence is impure, avishuddha, buddhaya. With great difficulty, they cross the ocean of nescience to attain the stage of Brahman. But because they have not taken permanent shelter of your lotus feet, they fall down from such a stage. So now Bhaktivinoda Thakur is appealing to his gentle listeners. What a wealth of shlokas in this chapter. So Bhaktivinoda Thakur is saying, O intimate devotees, having surely heard the word avidya before, you must be eager to know its intrinsic nature. What is the intrinsic nature of avidya? You've heard the word avidya, but you must also be eager to know its intrinsic nature. Therefore, I will explain a few points in this regard. Points about what? Avidya. Yes. What is the intrinsic nature of avidya? Sri Krishna possesses unlimited varieties of potencies, shaktis. He possesses unlimited. Amongst them, Chit Shakti, Jiva Shakti, and Maya Shakti, they are prominent. But he has unlimited. Chit Shakti displays Bhagavan's abode, his Dhamma, and also all the paraphernalia necessary for his pastimes. That's Chit Shakti. Leela, another name for Chit Shakti is Swarup Shakti. Jiva Shakti produces innumerable living entities. By nature, jivas are purely spiritual. They are chit-tattva, but due to their incomplete constitution, they can be trapped by Maya, the illusory energy. Because of what? Their incomplete constitution. By harboring selfish desires, they become opposed to Krishna. And then they are trapped by the illusory energy. And by desiring to be disposed towards Krishna, they are freed from Maya and they engage in his service. This is the difference between conditioned and liberated jivas. Now, the illusory energy acts in two ways upon the intrinsic nature of the conditioned living entity. That is through the avidya potency and through the vidya potency. The illusory energy is acting in two ways upon the intrinsic nature of the conditioned living entity. Through its avidya aspect, Maya covers the constitutional pure ego of the living entity, thus creating a false or a distorted ego by which the jiva identifies himself with gross matter. This shackle of ignorance, it is the cause of the jiva's conditioned state. Becoming free from avidya and devoid of all false designations, the living entities attains the stage of liberation. Thus, avidya is nothing more than a special potency of Maya that makes the living entity forget his constitutional position. Ignorance causes the desire for fruitive activity in the jiva. And these desires initiate the process of sin and piety. Again, ignorance, this avidya, it causes the desire for fruitive activity in the jiva. What is fruitive activity? I want to gratify my senses. So these desires, they initiate the process of sin and also the process of piety. This ignorance is the root cause of all the difficulties that are experienced by the jiva. Underline that sentence. These desires, for what? Piety or sinful activities. This ignorance that causes that is the root cause of all the difficulties experienced by the jiva. So besides bhakti, no other process is capable of eliminating this ignorance. Not possible. Karma, what can it do? It can only destroy sins, that's all. Gyan, it can only destroy at the root the desires that cause both sin and piety. But bhakti totally eradicates at the root the sins themselves, and also the desires to perform both sin and piety. And the prime cause of these desires, which is avidya, ignorance. Bhakti eradicates all. So, the second point, which I'll just read a little bit of, because we're getting near to the end now, because Bhaktivinoda Thakur has divided these symptoms into sections. Now, you know the six points that he was making. Kleshagni, Shubhada, like that. So the second one now he's explaining that bhakti is called Shubhada, which means it's auspicious by nature. It's full of auspiciousness by its very nature. So therefore, Rupa Goswami says in the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu 1.127, Rupa Goswami says this: Shubhani prinanam sarva jagatam anuraktata sadguna sukam ityadin yad yakyatani manishibi. Scholars define true auspiciousness, Shubha. How do the scholars define this? They define true auspiciousness, Shubha, as possessing love for all living entities and becoming the object of affection of all living entities, as well as possessing all good qualities, happiness, and other similar auspicious achievements. There you go. There's the list. Shubha. Shubha, auspiciousness. How is that defined? If auspiciousness is being manifested in a living entity's life, then true auspiciousness, it will have these symptoms. It will manifest in these ways. That living entity will possess love for all living entities. That's the first one. And that living entity will become the object of affection for all living entities. And that jiva will possess all good qualities. He will possess all happiness. And he will possess all other similar auspicious achievements. Now the Padma Purana explains what is meant by possessing love for all living entities. We can ask that. What does that mean? That one possesses love for all living entities, and also that one becomes the object of affection for all living entities. Here it is. Here's the verse from Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu 1.128. Ye narchito haristena tarpitani jagantyapi rajyanti jantavas tatra jangama stavara api. This means those who have worshipped Sri Hari, they have satisfied the entire universe. Those who worship Sri Hari, they have satisfied the entire universe. So therefore, all living entities, both animate and inanimate, they love them. Where is this shown? In which prayer by our great acharyas? An ashtakam that is chanted regularly. This statement is made in the very first verse of that ashtakam. Krishnod kirtana gana nartana paro premamritambo nidhi dira dira jana priyo priyakaro nirmatsaro pujito Shri Chaitanya Kripa Bharo Bhuvi Bhuvo Bharavahantarako Bande Rupa Sanatano Raghuyugo Shri Jiva Gopalako. So, Krishna Kirtana Gana Nartana Paro Premamritambo Nidhi, the 6 Goswamis became like the ocean of prem, and were always chanting and dancing in the kirtan of Krishna, Krishna Utkirtana. But what symptom manifested in them? Dira Dira Jana Priyo Priyakaro Nirmatsaro Pujito. They were highly worshipable. Pujita. Nirmatsara. They had no envy of any living entity. Therefore, even those who were Dira and those who were Adira, the gentle persons and the what? Ruffians. Prabhupada translates that. Dira Dira Jana Priyo. They were dear to all the living entities. So, the purport is of this verse that those who are devoted exclusively to Hari Bhajan, they love everyone without any envy, and therefore others also love them. And in devotees, all varieties of good qualities, they develop naturally. This is easily verified by examining the lives of devotees. Now in this regard it says in the Srimad Bhagavatam as well as in the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, this is from Bhagavatam 5:18-12, Yasyasti Bhaktir Bhagavati Akinchana Sarvair Gunais Tatra Samasate Sura Harava Bhaktasya Kuto Mahadguna Manoratena Sati Dhavato Bahi. Prabhupada quoted this verse very often in his purports, very often. So those who possess undeviated and exclusive bhakti for Bhagavan, what happens to them? They become the residents of all the demigods and of all good qualities. So how can such great qualities exist in non-devotees, whose illicit desires compel them to run after sense gratification? How can those qualities exist in non-devotees? The qualities of compassion, of truthfulness, of humility, detachment, spiritual awareness, and so forth, they appear only in those hearts in which bhakti has arisen. So even by great endeavor, these qualities do not appear in those hearts which are occupied with desires for sense gratification. Though happiness is included within auspiciousness, it is being reviewed separately. By nature, bhakti bestows all auspiciousness. So we'll complete our reading today with this final analysis here before we continue to complete this chapter, which we've probably done 2/3 of this chapter so far. Jai Srimad Bhakti Vinod Thakur ki jai, Bhakti-tattva-viveka ki jai, Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai, Samagata Gaur Bhakta Vrinda ki jai, Nitai Gaur Prema Anande Hari Hari Bo. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Nitai Gaur Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol. Nitai Gaur Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol. Jai Shri Shri Nitai Gaur Premanande, Hari Hari Bol. Vrindai Tulsidev Bhai Priyai Keshavasya Cha Krishna Bhakti Prade Devi Satyavachai Namo Namaha. Vansha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Eva Cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Jai Shri Gauranga Mahaprabhu Ki Jai.